Hello, welcome to another devlog for my 2D space game. In the last episode, we prototyped together this so-called zone. This is where the user is going to be able to build contraptions, build cars, build rockets, whatever. An early gameplay mechanic is going to be that there will be like rocks out here that contain resources, and you're going to start with limited resources. If you manage to bring this into here, then you can delete it, convert it to resources, and then turn it into something useful, building even bigger contraptions to bring in more resources. So that's the basic gameplay loop I have in mind. But this zone is very prototyped. It's currently being calculated every frame, and it's pretty slow, especially when we create a bigger one. So I got this simple hook created that is called every time we combine shapes together. See, it says number 9 there. So there are 9 shapes in this body. If we separate here, it should say 8 and 1, like that, because now we have one body with one shape and a body with 8 shapes. Then if like we separate here, it says 3, 1, and 4. So this is the 3 up there, 1, and then 4 down here. So we can now give this to our zone action to make it calculate once on every change instead. And also, as you might notice, there's no zone here now. Currently with the prototype, the zone only originates from this first zone module down there. That's pretty fun though. I'm really happy with how the calculating works. Gives the potential for all sorts of interesting zone structures. I've created a zone class. This is shared by all the shapes. When the hook is called here, then we iterate all the touching shapes, and we assign them all to the same zone. Then we also make sure to do some cleanup and stuff, and we keep track of all the zones here. I put all the logic for calculating the vertices here, and they're now local. So when we draw them, we just convert them to world. It should be a bit more efficient. And then adding a hook for the view to actually draw all the zones for modules here. That's looking good. And let's see if we can create a new one. Oh yeah. All right. Really cool. There should still be 2 separate ones. Yep. Has to connect to the module, not only the triangle. Yeah. So that part's done. So next up is actually making it so we can only build in there if we don't have God mode. Cleaned up the zone class even further. So now we have these methods. World position in zone, and adding to our move interaction check, where we make the move fail if the moved body is overlapping with another shape. We now have this. So if we're not in God mode and the body is not in the zone, then we stop the move as well. We're gonna want to check every single vertex for each shape in the body, so it's gonna be pretty expensive to run. But for now, I'm only doing the position of the body, so it's a bit faster. And it kind of works. So we can move it in here. We can't move it outside now, but we can move it out here. I didn't think about this, because the normals I'm looking at are only these, but I need to calculate new normals for the actual shape that we've created. And that's what I need to use for this. I found this built-in function is point in polygon. This is going to be pretty useful. So now it looks like this, and I can't move the shape outside of it, but we're still only looking at the body shape. But I'm wondering, could this be enough, or do I want it so it stops there? I'm not sure. I added a contains shape method to the zone, and this one uses a new method on all the shapes. For the poly, we're using is point in polygon. This one is built in, which is really nice. We just feed it the vertices from the zone, and then we make sure that each vertex is inside that polygon. For the circle, I implemented something I think is going to be pretty optimized. Since a circle doesn't have vertices, I'm instead iterating the surface normals of the vertices we're checking if it's inside. And then we look at that normal direction and we multiply it by the radius from that position, and we check if that is above the surface of the normal or not. It seems to work pretty nicely. Let's create a square. And now it can't leave at all. Really cool. Get the circle. So we can still create it outside. But then once it is outside, we can't move it. I guess we can Move it inside, right. Let's see how this works. Yeah. Now we gotta add a check to this. When we start, we shouldn't be able to move it inside. All right. When the shape is lying on the floor of the zone modules, it sometimes is just outside the zone, so we can't pick it up. To fix that, I want to slightly expand the vertices. So I'm writing an expand or shrink vertices function. And I thought this would work. It kind of works. I iterate the sides, and then I shove the vertices at the end of each normal in the normal's direction. But where they're pointing the same way, it's gonna shove twice as much. So I need to do the opposite. I need to iterate the vertices and then normalize. All right, much better. Wait, is it? Oh, it's actually not perfect. How does this work? It might be good enough. What's the trick to this? It's moving them the same distance, but since this is on the corner, it moves it less in each axis. Here it's pure one axis, so it moves it further. I think it's good enough. I don't see a better solution. But now I made it expand instead, and it's very slight, but that's not enough still. Still can't lift this. 0.2. Okay, so now I can lift it. And I create two sets of local vertices, one of which are expanded, and we use that when we check whether it contains the shape, and when we draw it, we use the smaller one. Let's see if it works. No. Oh, I made this function update the vertices in place. I think we just go like this then. Yeah, so now we get that perfect alignment, and we can move this, and they can go slightly outside, which is totally fine, I think. The same with the overlapping when we weld. Maybe I should make it the same actually, same value. Might as well. So instead of 0.5, it's gonna be, oh no, it's this one, 0.3. Cool. All right. For the first time, the zone might be fully functional. So we can now create shapes in here, but not out there. We can't even create them on the edge, and we can't even create them so they overlap anymore. We can resize in here, all fine. Resize them. Oh, okay, I can't interact with this anymore because I attached it, but we can't resize it so it goes outside. We should make sure when that we can't combine two shapes outside. Let's see if we can bring this outside. Now when it's outside, we can't move it, we can't resize it, we can't delete it. Really nice. Connecting these through a pivot joint. Oh, that does work. Thought I'd fix that. Okay, that would allow you to do things like this. So when we have shapes like this, where they are connected through joints, then we can no longer move them outside. But then once they're back inside, we can move them again. But I realized if I pause and I move this around, then this one doesn't move. And I think maybe it should. Perhaps it should move relative to this body since they're connected. Because otherwise, weird things can happen. Good morning. So I realized when testing moving those rigs inside the zone that it was very tricky to or time consuming rather, to have to create the car every time. So I took some time to create this concept of structures. So we have a car and a zone structure now, making it very easy to create them in a test scene. And then I thought, okay, I should add these to the menu as well. But then when I looked at the menu, it was very confusing. So I cleaned that up. So now it's gonna be much easier to add to the menu. We have the testing like this, and the right clicking is still the same, but I wanna add categories to this. So we'll have square and circle in basic. We have the modules is another category, and then structures. And then we can like create cars and zones and whatever else we wanna create later very easily. Got the categories in place, so now we have basic here, where we can create the basic shapes. We have modules. Let's create a battery. Works nicely. And let's try to create a structure. Nice. So you can see the background is lit on this one. It's because it's focused. So the zone is only active if one of the modules are focused. And now I have God mode on so I can create stuff anywhere. But I got a bit distracted when adding this. Like I made it much cleaner. So the context menu stuff looks like this now. So we just create a single subclass for each menu. Super simple. And then the interface is just like this. Very happy with this. And then we have another base class for these context menus, which is to make it follow the mouse. And then I had an issue where it would move the menu when you click. Now it doesn't change the mouse position unless it's the top menu. While I was at it, I thought I would fix scroll bars because this menu is pretty long and I want to add a bunch more stuff. That was a mission and a half, let me tell you. There's no good support for it, so it took a lot of work. It's using this experimental feature, the scroll bar and scroll area. I just want to be able to easily set it if a menu should be scrollable or not. So here in the main menu, this is all I need to do now. I just set scroll to true for the controls, and then we add a bunch of stuff if that flag is enabled. This was such a nightmare to work with, but I'm glad it's working nicely now. So now back to what I was actually testing. I want to create a car and then see. Oh yeah, nice. It already kind of works. Whoa. Whoa, that's trippy. So let's turn off God mode and see if we can get moving cars working. Moving the car inside the building zone works kind of now. It stops it there, but I want it to be locked together. You shouldn't be able to separate them like this. And also when rotating, they should not rotate individually. So let's make them rotate around the point where you are holding. Beautiful. So when moving the bodies, I now added a filter and then we iterate the ones that didn't succeed and reset all of them. So if they're connected through the rig, it should now be the same for all the bodies. And yeah, looks good. This had no business working on the first try. I was previously storing just a position for each body when we start moving them, but then I realized I just need to convert it from world to local and vice versa. So I just swapped this out and change the position to be updated based on that local vector. And then I also move the rotating code here. And this is now populated by the keybind here. We used to have a very big code here directly rotating. But then I realized I was already checking here if there's overlap, but this is not dry. Like I don't want to repeat myself. Dry stands for don't repeat yourself, which is a practice I try to follow. Because we're already checking when we're moving right here if we failed moving it. And rotating is pretty much moving. And especially now when I want everything to pivot around where you're holding it. So this thing might be done. Look at it. So now everything rotates around there. Let's add another shape here. Select that one. Pretty small in here, but you can see it rotates around the point where I'm holding. It's perfect. And if the wheel gets stuck, the whole car gets stuck. But this shape is still free to move because they're not connected. Rotating like this is so much nicer actually. When we move these and then one body gets stuck, the other one is now free to collide with this because when it's checking, the car is actually successfully moved over there, so it's fine to move, and it makes it super complicated. So I'm just gonna make it so if any shape is failing, then all of them fail. Alright, that's much better. So this makes it a whole lot simpler. Let's handle so we can't weld to shapes that we can't interact with. Because now I just welded the car. Whoa. And that's simply adding a check here. When we check the welding shapes, we just make sure that the body of the shape allows interaction. And that should do it. Let's make sure we can still weld inside. Oh yeah. Very happy with this. That's gonna be it for this episode. Thank you for watching.